Master Obi-Wan Kenobi. I regret to report that both our Jedi Order and the Republic have fallen, with the dark shadow of the Empire rising to take their place. This message is a warning and a reminder for any surviving Jedi. Trust in the Force.
They've outgrown their age of rebellion, dulled the Empire's edge, defeated Imperial generals and the Pirate Queen's dredge. They've been soldiers and scoundrels, what's there left to be? How about lost acolytes looking for their force and destiny? There's a seer, hermit, investigator, and teacher. Better watch your back or a vibro ring's gonna reach you. Will this team find the light or will darkness win the day? Find out with the heroes of the Hydian Way.
Previously on Heroes of the Hydian Way, we decided to follow Hillary's lead. While he pretended to be a business being, Koba, Skip, and I played the part of his staff. While we investigated, we ran across a group of guardians shaking down a shopkeeper, and I intervened, scaring them off. Koba dropped the datapad for some reason, while we went to inspect the Reeves art destruction. Sathari were about to come to blows over it, and Hillary talked them out of it. But, in the process, our group was split. Will we regroup? Can we stop any further violence? Find out in this week's episode, Khesh Alone.
Welcome to Heroes of the Hydian Way. This is a Star Wars actual play podcast, and we are playing in Fantasy Flight Games' Force and Destiny system, using the Chronicles of the Gatekeeper adventure developed by Tim Cox and Max Brook. This is Act 1, Episode 6, and I am Ben, the GM for this adventure.
And hello, everybody. I'm Christine, and today I'm playing the part of Khesh, the Trandoshan Mystic Seer.
Yeah.
It's kind of lonely on this side of the table, Ben. What's going on?
Yeah, well, see, something happened last set of episodes that the other characters are kind of also having to deal with, and I think we're actually just going to start straight off.
Okay.
Khesh and the rest of the crew had just been at this protest, and Hillary was able to get the artisans to fly off. They were able to get the guardians who were there to fly off and the protesters to disperse because nothing was going on today.
Mm-hmm.
After that, if I remember right, the heroes were planning on heading off to Jill's farm so that they could recoup and figure out what the heck was their next move. But just as they're making it down a ring or two on the big ramp, all of a sudden, the Guardians come gliding down to the ring. As they land, some of them are drawing their Deros, but most are drawing slug throwers. And there is a Guardian there that has the head plumage of a captain. All of a sudden, people just start running. You get some merchants quickly trying to close up shop and then jumping out the back. You've got people who are in the middle of shopping because this is a marketplace. These people are then just running away from the Guardians. The ones who are really close are hands up, slowly trying to get past them. The Guardians who have their pistols pulled, and these pistols do look, at least on the surface, relatively similar to, say, Koba's 5-shooter.
Mm-hmm.
The Guardian captain says, "These 4 have gotten in the way of official edicts. It's time to take them in." It's at that point where they start looming closer and closer. As a consumer who had been trying to get a few things at the market, had a cloth bag that you can see lettuce over the top of it. They pass a little too close to one with a Dero, who then takes him down and puts binders on him.
Okay.
As the captain starts getting that a little bit more contained, they point at, I'm going to go with Skip, and yell, "Get them!"
Time to go.
And with that, 6 of the Guardians start chasing after the heroes. Hillary's kind of tagging Koba, making sure that they're paying attention. Also waving their hand as they run past Skip, making sure that Skip isn't looking at one of the stalls. Those three start making their headway into the crowd. What does Khesh do?
So the guards are arresting some people. They haven't opened fire yet, but they have weapons drawn.
Yeah.
How are they treating their prisoners from the looks of things? Are they just arresting them, or is there any danger of this getting rougher than it needs to be?
It's actually looking relatively rough. The one who's been arrested is now... It wasn't just like throw the binders on them, is put the binders on them and then throw them to the ground, making sure that they wouldn't easily get up again. They're not out and out abusing them, but it's definitely getting them into a... They're definitely taking them out of any sort of thought of fighting.
Okay. Then what Khesh would do in the immediate then is start to leave with her companions. She can't take on 6 guards at the moment. She would only try if it were a matter of trying to protect these people beyond just the getting arrested. She's going to try to like usher some of the other Sithkari alongside her, the protesters, trying to get them to scatter and get out of here before they suffer the same fate.
All right, so as that's happening, you hear from the Sithari Guardians a stop. That's when you hear the first crack of a slug thrower getting shot. And you can see of the 6, you've got 3 with Diro and 3 with pistols.
Okay.
And off to the side, like a mellow run explodes from the gunshot.
How far away are the guards from me?
They are at this point, I'm going to go short range, but like at the edge of short range.
Okay. Then in that case, Ben, I would like to make use of Ward's foresight.
Okay.
To get a idea of what is about to happen if we continue on this current course of action. And along with asking that question or stating that action, what are we doing for a destiny pool today?
Why don't I just keep the one that we've been rolling from episode 4 and 5?
Sure. So then, audience, I have 2 light side points, and there are 3 dark side points in play. And I rolled 1 dark side pip, which Khesh is going to flip in order to spend it, taking another conflict and a strain as she starts to lean into her worst fears about this situation.
With Ward's foresight, you can see the Guardians start moving forward. They're arresting everyone that they can. And as the heroes continue running, you can see that the pistol shots become more and more accurate. Eventually, in a pretty short term, it looks like Koba would be hit with a pistol shot and go sprawling out. Then the Guardians will start getting in close, and you can just sort of feel the anger rolling off of them, that the heroes have gotten in the way of what they have been put out to do, that they are going to make sure that the heroes are going to pay for interfering with official business.
As the, vision, as that possible future fades from Khesh's sight, we see her cast her eyes upward and mutter, "I hope I'm following your plan." She's going to take her staff in hand and move towards the guard who, in the foresight, she saw shoot Koba, and she's going to hit him.
In that case, it is going to be a 1 red, 1 purple check. An account of... I'm going to use the Destiny point.
Okay. Alright, and this is just good old melee?
Yep, just good old melee.
So for the audience's benefit, Khesh remembers being a lot better at the skill than she is now. So I have a red and a purple versus 3 green. And no success is only 1 advantage, which isn't quite enough to disarm this guard or anything like that, but I do want to... I guess I can't even be a setback to him. I'm going to recover a strain off of it.
Fair.
Just because as Khesh feels like she's doing what needs to be done. as she moves in and swings at this guy, and he's able to just get out of the way.
How I'm going to deal with this is, so you went and were attacking a 3-person minion group.
Okay.
They are going to get around you and keep on going. What I'm figuring for is going to happen is another 4 Sathari group of Guardians are going to come up behind with the captain nearby and start trying to use their Diro on you.
Okay. I do have a point of melee defense,
You okay?
and that's all I'm going to do for now. I'm looking. I now have a delightful talent. I have to decide when to use it during this.
Okay, they have melee. Sorry, doing minion math in my head.
Good old minion math. This is not Khesh's day.
Apparently not. Wasn't able to keep up to Hillary. Well, on the other hand, you did startle those 2 Guardians earlier in the day.
Yeah. So somewhere on high, the scorekeeper looks down on Khesh and is like, "No, I wanted you to run."
After doing the minion math, it is 2 yellow and a green versus 2 purple and a setback. Well, the 2 difficulty dice did actually show up and canceled out the 2 advantage of the roll, but they didn't get the 2 success or the triumph. So they hit. Now, they do 5 damage with their Diro.
Okay.
There is no pierce, so do they do damage to you?
Yes. Is it wounds or strain?
I'm going to go with strain on
Okay.
account of I'm using the Quolis Guard Captain talent, ability, whatever, called Restraint.
Okay. Okay, and by the way, they did 1 strain to me, because Khesh's soak is a 4.
Okay, so they got 2 more threat.
Okay. What's going on there?
I'm using the Captain's Restraint thing, which is increase the difficulty of melee or range light attacks by 1, hence the extra purple, and the horrible other roll, in order to inflict stun damage and gain the knockdown quality.
Oh.
Yeah, really nice for the Captain. A great inducement for if you're running this adventure, use the Captains.
So is that going to be 1 more damage then?
No.
Okay.
It would not be any more damage. I was trying to drag the rest of the...
Oh, gotcha. So it's just the 2 threat?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's just the 2 threat from the actual purple. They are doing 1 point of stun damage to you, and...
Are they knocking an Ultrandoshan down?
Yeah, I'm going to go with that is probably the best way of using it. They are knocking down and surrounding Khesh.
Okay.
And off in the distance, you can hear Skip yelling out,
"Hey, that's our Trandoshan!"
The 2 threat, I would like to impose a setback die upon them, their next check, as even though they're surrounding me, even though they managed to knock me down to the ground, they're still scared of me. Maybe they heard from the other guards. Maybe it's just this is a giant, Trandoshan that's come up with a big metal stick. Maybe they're just not all that experienced. I'm not quite sure, but whatever it is, they're a little leery.
okay, that's totally fair.
So are we still going back and forth?
If you're wanting to, sure.
I don't think she's not at a fight at this point. So
All right.
Khesh is going to stand back up and with 1 maneuver, and I'm going to burn 2 strain to aim. As with a snarl, she's going to spin around and swing at somebody else. So it's the minions surrounding me, not the captain, correct?
Yes, that is correct. The captain is standing nearby-ish. They are at short range. They are not at engaged.
Okay. Yeah, then she's going to attack the minion group.
These ones with the Diro do have 1 melee defense.
Okay. I'm going to flip a light side point to give me a yellow. So setback purple?
You're doing a melee against them?
Yes.
Yeah, it's going to be 1 setback, 2 purple.
Oh, 2 purple, that's right. Melee! It's like I did a lot of shooting last season or something. 3 successes and 1 advantage. As Khesh spins around and swings, and that's going to be 9 damage to one of the guards here. Khesh has no means to turn a melee strike into a stunning strike, so these are wounds.
Okay, fair enough. Are they killing wounds?
Do you have a choice in that?
I've always sort of figured you do have a choice in that. Like, wounds are still going through the physicality as opposed to knocking senseless, but I've always sort of figured essentially it's up to the character whether they're wanting to kill.
Okay. Hang on a second. I'm thinking about this from Kesh's point of view.
Yeah.
I think she's going to wound not to kill, which isn't an easy instinct for her. Her natural impulse would be to take out the threat, make sure it can't get back up again, but she is trying in her own way to demonstrate some restraint because she's thinking in the back of her mind how these people are being manipulated by another force, by Markov. And if anybody's going to die from this to her, it'll be him.
Alright.
So at least until they give her a better reason to think of them as more dangerous, she's going to break bones, she's going to hurt these people, but she's not going to kill.
That's how I'm envisioning this. This is very much okay, now, like, a leg's broken on this one, and they're down. Because fighting with a broken leg, that's hero stuff.
Yeah, I know those dang hollow bones for, bird people.
One of them is down and out.
Okay.
I don't know, like the claw part at the end of your staff scrapes another one.
All right.
They are going to respond by trying to smack you back.
Okay. I think Khesh is starting to get into the swing of things. I think she's starting to tap into her gift. And so she's going to sense advantage, and you're going to get, in addition to the setback die I gave you earlier, 2 more. So 4 total, counting my defense.
Let's see how well these go. I am using a dark side point to replace the die that got taken out. The setback dice work, and there is a single failure.
So the D-Rose come in, and Khesh manages to sidestep a couple of them and deflects another with her staff.
Question, is that a single attack that's done to, or is that like for a turn?
So it's once per session may add 2 setback dice to 1 NPC's skill check, or I figure 1 minion group kind of qualifies.
No, absolutely.
So yeah, it's like if the captain or somebody else is going, then they don't have those penalties.
That's really what I was checking, because I'm figuring that the Guardian captain would come in and seeing that Khesh is hurting their troops is going to start doing things.
Okay.
So they're also taking out their Diro and are going to attempt to deal with Khesh.
Okay, then now you're back down to just the 1 setback die for defense.
3 success and 2 threat. As they come in and are using their own Diro to try and smack at Khesh, doing 7 damage. Stun.
Okay. Some more will get through her. She'll take 3 more strain off of that. So now here's a question for you, just to give you another potential tool in this whole situation. We learned last time I played, that Diro can be loaded with a variety of poisons and components and things like that. Are any of these Diros loaded with anything that might assist in knocking somebody out? I'd figured I'd bring it up in case you wanted to move us past the back and forth quicker.
Thinking about that, and also thinking, no, the captain would have used some. Mm-hmm. The original reason for getting the Guardians in place is because, well, Bersloths like these giant trees, and the Guardians have access to the venom of Bersloths. So they've got Bersloth venom. Wahaha.
Okay. Khesh has dealt with this before.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the captain's Diro is tipped with this. Alright, so in that case, it is a daunting difficulty for resilience.
Okay. Alright. Let's do this. 3 green versus 4 purple. Failure with a threat.
Like, that's just barely a failure. I'm so disappointed in these purple dice.
Look, they're delivering the best they can.
And they do cause you one more strain.
Okay.
Racking Venom, which does get you a crit. Whether this character would suffer one or more wounds or one or more strain, you get that number of wounds or strain plus 2.
Okay. Would that count for this instance?
In this case, yes.
Okay.
I didn't with the Bear Sloth, but in this particular case, I do think that would trip it.
All right.
Like, not the one for the threat, but the one for them attacking. So it would be a total of 6 damage.
Yep. Khesh is still conscious, but she's starting to look a little woozy. I'm going to use the 2 threat that the captain rolled to essentially take a free maneuver and aim at the captain, as Khesh is going to swing at him, more trying to make a point at this time than anything.
In that case, I'm going to flip this dark side point. Then that is going to give 2 upgrades, which, because they're captain, they have adversary 1.
Okay.
And in that case, your difficulty is going to be red setback, because they do have a Dero, which is a melee defense 1.
Gotcha. And then Khesh is going to use 2 maneuvers to aim twice more, putting her up to 10 strain now. She's still conscious. Give her 3 boost total, along with her 3 green versus the 2 red and a setback, as she spins the crackling end of the staff around and snarls at the captain. Do you really think you're in the right here? I got 2 successes, so that'll be 8 damage total as Khesh hits him.
You can see that it smacks off of him, but it looks like it's catching a shoulder pad or something along that lines.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's definitely glancing on the armor and doesn't, like, you can see that they sort of step back from it, but they're not staggered or anything like it.
Yeah. I think I do want, just for like a little narrative thing of like where she did hit him with that end of the staff, we see like a little bit of like a little cut and some blood coming down, sort of the chipping away situation,
absolutely.
even if not gravely wounded or anything like that.
And sounds pretty cool. I'm thinking, as Khesh does that, this captain is going to, we see the armor split, we see some of the blood coming through, and I'm thinking that they're going to use the force of that to try and spin around and hit Khesh.
Okay. So I just have the 1 setback die again.
I'm also, because I do have one, I'm going to use a destiny point.
Okay. I'm letting the pool head in my direction for the moment.
And this is one of those few times where I'm willing to use a destiny point to give an extra die for an NPC.
Okay. Yeah, when this inevitably hits, I do want to assist a little bit in the narration.
Okay.
Yep. Okay, this is going to be bad. So let's deal with the mechanical effects first, as I think this will be sending Khesh to nap time.
Mechanically, it was 3 yellow and a green because of the dark side point usage, against 2 purple and a setback. The roll came out 2 success and 4 advantage. Now, the 2 success means that there is a grand total of 6 damage plus the 2 from the crit, so there'll be 8 damage of stun.
Okay. So that'll put Khesh at her strain threshold and will knock her unconscious. The little part I want to kind of assist in this is Khesh was a mercenary for a lot of years. She's fought in a lot of different battles. She was quite skilled once. And she's thinking to herself as these Deros keep connecting with her, how this would have been so much easier even just a decade ago. How this wouldn't have posed any kind of threat. And just everything seems a little bit slower or clumsier than what she's accustomed to. As she connects with the captain, there's that draw of blood, and she's trying to reposition herself, readying for the next strike. And she thinks she knows where it's going to come in, and all of a sudden, just that Dero comes from a direction she didn't expect, and like hits her like up underneath the chin. It's one of those points where her experience has failed her. Whatever she thinks she knew, it's becoming clearer to her as her consciousness starts to leave that she's going to have to find a new way of doing things.
I'm going to use 2 of the advantage from that to do knockdown.
Okay.
The other 2, Khesh is out, and the other 3 are doing their own unspeakable things with cabbages at the moment.
Okay.
I'm going to screen wipe for the purposes of this. Your headaches as you come to after your initial encounter with the Guardians. The words, Markov will be happy to get a hold of you, still ringing in your ears. You sit in a stall with an empty needle still stuck in your good arm. Your old joints ache as you finally get your bearings. You see the top of your staff and the glint of a vibro ring through the portal on a door across a hallway. Bars blocking the cell that you're in. Relaxing back on the bench, bolted to the wall, you hear the wind from outside and the thump-thump of someone bouncing a ball in the next cell over.
Khesh groans loudly as she starts to stir. Sitting up, she sits there stunned for a few moments before sort of reaching over and pulling that needle out and dropping it to the cell floor with a ting-ting.
With it, the sharp on the needle comes out, but you can see that there's very little strength to it. You might be able to use it for like a lockpick or something, but as a stabbing weapon, probably nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, less than your claws.
Yeah. Khesh looks out of the bars at the cell, taking it all in, and she breathes deeply and sighs as she shuts her eyes, accepting in this moment the realization, as much as it hurts, this isn't her first time being reset back to 0 on her Jagannath for being captured. One of the sort of greatest offenses in her faith. But the thing she knows, given how long she's lived, is anytime you get back to 0, you can always build that score up again.
As you're taking a breath, you then hear the thump-thump against the wall next to you.
Are there bars looking into that cell from mine?
It's a 3 and a bit solid wall with a 1-person wide grate on it. Barred door. If you're to get something like a Wookiee or a honestly, I don't know how you get a Herglick through, but you figure it's exactly wide enough that a Sathari could go through broadly.
Okay.
That you probably had to go through at a bit of an angle.
It was like moving a couch.
Yeah. Except you've got a fair amount of room in this place.
Yeah.
So, yeah. That's how I'm figuring. The door is just big enough so that if you had multiple people on the other side, it'd be easy enough for them to do unspeakable things to the person on the inside trying to get out.
Oh, gotcha.
But otherwise, yeah, you've got 3 walls. There is a open window with bars on it. Looking out there, all you see is sky.
I figured. And she would look out there, and while she's looking, we hear the thump again, and she's just going to say, "Must you really do that?"
Hello there. I'm finally awake, are you? And the thumping stops.
You one of the protesters?
Oh, I've been one to protest in my time, yes. Though maybe not one of those protesters that you're speaking of.
I'm not quite sure what you mean in this instance, but I guess it's better than being alone.
That is one of the things to learn. To being in a pack is usually much better than being on your own. As long as the pack is running in the right direction.
And that's the real trick, isn't it? She stomps over back towards the bars, bringing both organic and metallic claws to like wrap around the bars for a moment. There's no guards visible, right?
No, there are not currently any guards. There are not currently any guards visible. No.
So we hear sort of the clatter of metal as Khesh does like try to pull on the door, and it doesn't give, and she winces from the effort, but had to try.
Absolutely.
I'm Khesh. What's your name?
I've been living alone for so long, names barely had any significance for me anymore. Been called hermit, wizard, so many things in my day.
Well, what do you call yourself? You don't need someone else to say your name to know it's yours.
My time I've had so many first names, but it has always been Kenobi.
You're not a Sathari, are you?
No, I am most certainly not fledged like them. I'm but a human. Human recently of a very dry planet. It's nice seeing some of the foliage around here. I've missed that.
I would live in a desert. Nice sun warming you all the time. Clear sight lines.
But deserts are never flat. Not for long, anyway.
So, Kenobi, you feel like getting out of here?
To what end? To what end would we have? A Trandoshan that looked a little ashen in the scales, and an old human.
I would say that our age makes us wise, but then we are in this place. But I don't think it a detriment either. I've still got a trick or two up my sleeve.
Tricks can be very wonderful when they work. Now, is that a trick of experience, or is it something more?
It's a gift.
When used right, it most certainly can be. But it does care much more about how you use it.
No, not the how. The for what. What purpose. A tool can be used in a variety of ways. And to be sure, this is, well, more special than any staff. So you mentioned the staff and the Vibrarang. Are there any other... Take it there's no like keys or anything visible like that?
No, like you're seeing the one end of the Vibrarang, and you're seeing like the clawed end of the staff. It's more the... I want to go with classic heavy door with, like, it looks like it's a reinforced door with a barred window viewport showing through it.
Okay. Khesh is going to reach out with the Force and try to lift the Vibrarang and bring it towards her.
All right.
I need to know a couple of things before we begin on this. One, what is my strain at? And do I get a discipline roll to try to recover a little bit more?
I go with your strain is currently at 2 below your threshold, and yes, you can use a discipline roll to recover more.
Okay, I'm going to attempt to do that because I don't want to knock myself out immediately if I don't have to. And I got 6 successes, which puts her at least out of the danger of being knocked out. The second question is, what's the range to the Vibrarang?
I would go with that this is, like, your cell, hallway, which is wide enough for, like, 2 people gap, because you don't want those getting too wide. And then you can see it on a shelf, so it's like the edge, like the absolute edge of short range.
Okay.
If it was, like, further on the shelf, it would be medium range. That's how far of short range.
Okay, as if illustrating her point, I rolled another dark side pip. So I'm going to flip a light side point, take a conflict, and unfortunately 3 strain because of the racking venom.
But you only take 1 strain.
Oh, is the venom gone?
Yes.
Oh, that's nice. I don't have to get fussed at by Hillary when we back up with them. Okay, as Khesh reaches out, and it's like the Luke in at the start of the Empire Strikes Back situation where we see the Vibrang start to gently rock back and forth for a few moments before it just flies off of the like the counter it's on and shoots over to her hand.
Okay.
She catches it, and the cybernetic one, just in case.
Totally fair. And to what purpose was that?
I told you, escape.
But escape for why? What good is it going to be for having us on the loose in this town?
Are you aware of this town's leader?
Yes. The failed apprentice Markov. If Soljo had ever come back, that would be a much happier tale. But, as it is, Markov has become corrupted, seeing nothing but anger at Soljo and resentment at his current position.
And that's why someone needs to stop him.
To what end? If he dies, what becomes of this town?
I don't know, but they'll have the freedom to choose. Right now, they live in fear.
And what if that choice just lends him into a war of brother against brother, sister against sister?
They're already facing that. At least then it would be out in the open. You said so yourself. Markov is not just corrupted, he is a corruption upon this place.
But to burn out the corruption without setting the whole right afterwards is just going to let it bleed until there is nothing left. Qualas is in a delicate situation. If guided well after Markov is gone, there's a chance that this growing city is able to flourish. But if it is just burned out and then nothing, it will surely rot from the inside out, as surely as if Markov had been left.
I disagree. I don't think you can replace Markov with someone else, with you or myself or, frankly, any outsider. We don't belong here. These people have to make their own decisions after that. It's not our place to fix everything.
No, but isn't it enough to fix what we have wrought?
I didn't put Markov in his position of power.
Maybe not, but you are willing to take him out of his position of power. Maybe your companions have found at least the start of something within the tree to help reinforce it, but if led to its own, without any support, is it going to do anything other than just fall into two halves?
I don't know. If the right person or people or group happens to cross my path, then that is a different story.
People. Now that could be a thing.
Kenobi, you haven't mentioned precisely how you came to be here. You seem rather insightful for just an old human from someplace barren.
Most recently of someplace barren, and I'm getting prepared to go to someplace far, far wetter. Possibly colder. Well, everywhere's colder than where I was.
Sounds awful.
Uh,
If you're planning on leaving, why do you care so much about this place?
I've had a long time to think. A long time to think about the failures that I have caused, and a long time to think about actions that solve the issue right now, but not solve them for even a few months down the line. And I look at a couple of my supposed successes that have come back to poison. That leading with anger, that being rooted at anger without thinking of the why, the broader, has led to so much pain, so much destruction. Finding a hope, protecting that hope, such as in a Trandoshan who's learned of a gift, that is what's needing to be protected, at least from what I've seen, and from what I've caused. Now, you had been saying something about getting out of here, and you did that fun little trick with the vibro ring.
And I still intend to use it. I'll admit, Kenobi, you might not be entirely wrong. There are a lot of things I've done in my life, a lot of mistakes I've made for what I thought were the right reasons. And I suppose the reality I need to face is I may not be around to clean up my mess if I choose poorly this time. And maybe that shouldn't matter to an old Trandoshan like me, make it someone else's problem, but you're right. If I'm going to take the action, I should leave it better than how I found it. Because even if I'm not around, I have children. Some of them have children. There are other lives, other generations to consider.
Congratulations on that. Not everyone that I know of with the gift has a generation to give it to. I can hear it in your voice. That little spark of hope. Don't let that go out. For when that goes out, that's when the true darkness sets in. When that hope went out, is when Markov went bad. When he started thinking of this as his plaything, instead of as his responsibility.
I'll keep that in mind. And Khesh is going to take the Vibrang, turn it on, and start trying to use it brute force style to force this lock open.
I kind of want that to be a melee check.
Okay.
So to be against 2 purple.
I'm actually looking up the Vibrang stats now because I fortunately had a character recently who had one, which is handy. Yep, that's what I thought. It's inaccurate 1 when used as a melee weapon.
Okay.
Not a whole lot of damage, but it's got that pierce quality, which is the main thing I think she was looking for with this.
Yeah. Alright, so I'll give you a boost for it, considering what you're using it for.
Okay.
Otherwise, standard melee stuff, and we'll see. It's essentially using melee in place of a skullduggery check.
Okay, so what's the difficulty? Just the 2 purple then, or?
Just the 2 purple. Because honestly, I'm figuring that this would be an average skullduggery check anyway, but...
I'm going to light sight it just to increase my chances a little bit. So we're looking at a yellow, green boost versus 2 purple and a setback. 3 successes. Thank you, Kova. I'm assuming Koba, right? Like, there's no way anybody else on this planet is running around with vibrings.
With that, the lock is now absolutely destroyed. And the latching mechanism, because it's a success, is retracted.
So, Khesh is going to then force the door open,
Okay.
step out of her cell, and then turn towards the one where Kenobi's voice has been coming from,
Mm-hmm.
and look in for for this old human that's supposed to be in there.
You do see, for the briefest of moments, a transparent, blue, glowing old human. Bit of a beard, then they fade away. Almost looking like a hologram, but none of those drawing lines on them. And a pebble that had been in their hand just drops to the ground with a clatter.
Khesh pauses, looking deep in thought. She casts her eyes upward to say, I suppose your agents come in more forms than I had realized. Then she's going to bring her eyes back down, go over to pick up her staff, and it's time to get out of here.
That I'd actually go with would be an average athletics check, because a reinforced door itself is a reinforced door that is locked. Because, well, why wouldn't you lock an armory/evidence room? So, if Khesh isn't willing to deal with the door, then you could reach through the portal on the door and attempt to grab it. But that would be about the only way that I could see without actually dealing with the door.
Okay, so... Alright, so that's hence the athletics. Okay. Yeah, let's go that route.
Grabbing and pulling it out. I am just going to flip a point and call it 1 red.
Okay. Alright, 3 green, 1 red. No successes, 3 advantages, and a despair.
Alright. So, as you're reaching through, I am trying not to just use this for comedy, but I kind of have to. What I am thinking is going to happen is one side of a pair of binder cuffs on the arm that's reaching through. You can see a binder go across your wrist and clamp on. And then you see a Sathari head poke. What do you think you're doing? And I'm thinking that just the leverage that they have is enough to raise Khesh's feet from the ground as they open the door.
Okay.
So Khesh is kind of bound to the door off of their taloned feet, or like on plateaus, whatever.
Yeah. So he's got leverage. He's like above me.
Just through the height that the
door
portal is on there.
Yeah.
They've got leverage on you, not necessarily height. They're like roughly the same height as Khesh, maybe a touch taller. But this one definitely has leverage and has caught your one arm.
Okay, so I got binder cuff on one hand there, and then what? This individual is just holding on to the other end of the binders?
Yes.
Okay.
But they've also got pretty good cover from the door.
Okay. Khesh is going to try to make use of this opportunity, and instead of pulling away from them like they might expect, Khesh is going to kind of toss the staff up onto like their level, and then try to dig the clawed hand of her cyber limb into like trying to find some purchase up there, and is going to try to haul herself up, moving towards the Sathari instead of trying to fight it.
Okay. So this is one of the very few times where I'm going to grant cover in melee.
Okay. Because I mean, I want to go up through the porthole anyway.
Well, the portal's like not big enough for most people to actually go through. I'm figuring it's like, I don't know, maybe a foot tall and a foot and a half wide or something like that. Like it's big enough to like get an arm through. It's not big enough for like you to go through.
Then what this might be more is Khesh. Well, I guess she already has an arm stuck through is the problem. She couldn't get another one in then.
Yeah.
Okay. So bars over the door, and basically the Sathari guardian has my arm through one of these little, like, windows.
Yeah.
Okay.
Those windows are the ones with the bars over it. The rest of the door itself is actually a fairly thick, reinforced door.
Okay. So right then I don't have a lot of options or a lot of recourse here. So I'm being lifted up because of the leverage. That's the problem. I can't easily do this thing. So instead, what I think we'll do is, okay, we will.
It could push off against a wall.
Yeah, that's what I was about to do. Essentially,
Okay,
try to dig her clawed feet against the door and try to pull back.
Okay, essentially trying to smack them onto the door?
Yes.
Okay, that totally makes sense.
To try to release their hold and bring them closer. So what would that be?
Sounds like a brawn check.
What's my difficulty?
I'm actually just going to go with it being a standard brawl check. Now, one thing is, we didn't deal with the 3 advantage from your reaching through.
That's true. So I guess that could always translate into a couple of boosts here, as I was not in nearly as advantageous a position as this Guardian thought.
So yeah, that's going to be a 2 purple check. Doing what you're talking about, I'm not going to toss in the cover on account of, that doesn't make sense since you're actually using the cover. Yeah, I'm just going to go with 2 purple.
Okay. Still can't roll success to save my life. I've got 2 advantages, no successes.
Alright, so what do you want to do with the 2 advantage? I mean, you could break the grip.
If I could for 2 advantages, then absolutely.
It's essentially the same as, moving to short range.
Okay. Then yeah, I want to break the grip and withdraw my hand out of that porthole. One binder cuff still attached.
Yep.
That gives me some options here.
So you pull back, essentially jump off the door with the binder cuff still around your wrist, land sort of panting at the exertion. The Sathari finishes pushing the door open. It's now flat against a wall. You can see their Diro on one side, their Lugthrow on the other, and they're going to pull up the Diro and attempt to stab at Khesh. But the thing that's more crucial, I guess the thing would be, is they're going to yell out, "Cell break!" and then approach to try and menace Khesh.
Okay. They're trying to intimidate me?
Guide you into a particular direction?
Yeah, I'm not buying that. She's going to try to stand her ground. If anything, is going to try to move through this individual in a minute.
Alright. Well, I mean, considering, if I remember right, coercion's against discipline, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, okay.
Which means your difficulties are red and 3 purple.
Alright, I will do this. We're not wanting to do competitive?
Well, that's where I roll? Okay.
Okay. Well, that's where we both roll our positive dice.
Gotcha.
So they get 2 failure and 2 threat.
So yeah, Khesh isn't buying being corralled, and in fact, with a 2 threat, as this Sathari is trying to move her further back into the cell, Khesh is going to use it for a free maneuver to move past them through now the open door. if that's fair.
Yeah, sure. Thank you for listening to this episode of Heroes of the Hydian Way. You can find show updates on Twitter at The Hydian Way, and you can find me, Ben, on Twitter at Deuterium Ice.
You can find me, Christine, on Twitter at 12th Night. That's 12th Night with a K. I also have a whole bunch of other shows. I have 2 D&D 5e actual play podcasts. The Glass Dagger can be found at The Glass Dagger on Twitter or at CompleteNight.com, also Night with a K. And Omen's Call can be found at OmensCall.com. And then since Brandon's not here to promote it, Brandon and I have a Star Trek Adventures podcast called Endeavor Through the Maelstrom, which you can learn more about that at Endeavor Show on Twitter.
And we're all at theheidianway.com, where you can find previous episodes and things we talk about in the show. Though in this one, I mean, do I really need to link to Kenobi?
I mean, this mysterious agent of the scorekeeper. I mean, clearly. You can find more episodes on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Google Podcasts. Plus, you can help us out by rating, reviewing, and subscribing.
We are also on Facebook as Heroes of the Heidian Way. You can send us a holocom at heroes@theheidianway.com.
If you like what we do and want to support the show, you can find us at patreon.com/theheidianway.
Or you can toss a credit to your podcaster at ko-fi.com/theheidianway.